everyone. Another episode, another week. Therapy without a degree. Let me get my gunshots here.
Subtle shots.
Yes, we hear therapy without a degree. I think this is chapter 189. So 189 episodes, yo.
Sweet.
What's up? We got I feel a little lonely today. Y'all not by my side. I can't just say to my left. I can't say to my left. So
you can't say in the building anymore.
Nah, Zane's virtual.
Zane is not in the building. Zane is at home.
He's recovering. He's recovering from an AC. And then we got Natalie. What's up, Nat?
Hey, how's everybody?
What's going on? Nat's chilling.
Hello.
Yeah, chilling. Can't complain. I can't complain. Had a couple days off because of the snow.
Oh, you took some days off?
What? Nat took days off?
Not by my own choice. Chill. Not by choice.
Word. And then we got a very special guest in the building. Would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Jana. Last name is Stern. I'm here. I am here in Toronto.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You know
You're
what's
the
funny?
second person I met in Toronto.
Oh, yeah? All
I
right.
have a friend named Simona. She lives in Toronto.
Simona is how I heard about you guys. Simona
Oh,
is
would
my
you
friend
look
too.
at that? We're in the
Be
circle
real
together.
Yes, look at that. Look at that.
Yeah.
And if
Simona's a client of mine and a friend. She's wonderful.
Awesome.
If you look really fast,
That's
y'all look alike
awesome.
too. Like if you look really quick.
Because, you know what, my hair is usually curly and wild. I straightened it, so I do have some Simona vibes today. I'll take it. She's so gorgeous. If I could even stand in her shadow, I feel good.
Right.
I'm gonna do a poll. I'm gonna be like, is it Simona? Is it who are we interviewing today?
Do it. I'm into it.
Nah,
funny.
yo. And yo, you have a really dope name. You have like a talk show. Like is that your real name, Jana Stern?
Jana Stern is my real name. My boyfriend is all about it. He's a branding guy. He's like, I just love your name. I can't wait for your name to get big. I'm like, it's just
Jana Stern.
Yeah. People always ask me how did I get my name? And the answer is I got it for my birthday. I don't know.
That's a perfect response.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Word. So, yo, Zane, bro, I miss you, man. What's up, bro? You go to Atlanta and you a new man? He's like, nah, I don't need it. I'll just do a
virtual.
virtual.
Went from to Atlanta, then came back for a few days, went to AC. I was just like, I actually want to be home. So I'm really an introvert. So people are like, yeah, you going out there having fun? I was like, I actually want to be home.
Let me just say that we're on lockdown number 722 here in Toronto. I am ready to get the fuck out of home. I'm done with home,
that's right.
man.
Y'all really locked down.
Hell no.
We've been locked down. We've been locked down basically since March. People are wearing it's crazy times here. Yeah, it's
Oh my god. So that means that they make sure you stay home. Like that's it.
That's the narrative. The TV want us to say that. Wear a mask, stay home, don't go anywhere. They're giving fines out now. If you're in parties, they'll fine you. And there were a couple people who were peacefully protesting, and they got arrested.
Wow. I don't want to get into it. That's a whole other podcast, but
thank you for that sound effect, Joe. You got it on the money.
But I will say this. I just find it interesting how over the years they tried to figure out how to get people in control staying home. And what a brilliant tactic.
Yes,
that's all I'm going to say.
This thing that nobody can see, nobody can identify it physically, so we just put just enough fear in you, and then maybe you'll comply.
Right.
I see.
It worked.
Yeah.
Almost like it
had
was
to come up with something.
Scripted.
Right.
You know? It's almost like they wrote that shit out for us.
Right. Exactly.
Maybe.
See, I'm just saying. I just want to throw it out there. Somebody did this.
And Nat, what's up with you? How's Mello?
She's good, as you saw. She
always
trying to
makes a guest appearance.
She pulled up this chair to go get soup out of that giant pot.
How old is she?
She's 5.
Oh boy.
And I'm like, well, you gotta wait now. You gotta wait. That was gonna be an accident in the background waiting to happen. Like, no.
I was like, no, thank you.
All is well though. We're doing good. We've been doing virtual dance classes.
Oh, that's fun.
And yeah, all these really just great things that you can do online. And you know, they have circle time online, storytelling. We're adventurer girls. We love to be outside, but you know, in the cold like this, it's frozen and slippery. We stayed inside. So movement for us is like key. Dancing and moving around and, you know, staying entertained. Look.
Yes.
So that's the goal. So we've been enjoying it. I can't complain.
Movement is one of those things that actually, when you're physically moving your body, you're then moving your bodies as well. So creative energy can flow to you from your own movement. This is why exercise matters. This is why yoga matters. This is why dance matters. This is why making love matters, right? Because that creative energy fuels more creative energy. I'm here for this noise to be behind me every time I speak.
Well,
right?
no,
don't change your whole dynamics if that was the case.
I speak live on Facebook and Instagram a lot. I have a podcast of my own called I'm Really Into That Stuff, because whenever I tell people that I'm metaphysical energy healer, that I'm spiritual, you can see the oracle cards, the crystals behind me. The answer that people always come back to me with like, oh my God, I'm really into that stuff. And so I was like, I'm going to start a podcast called I'm Really Into That Stuff. So
that's
a friend of mine.
Fire.
Yeah.
I love that
That's
name.
how I came up with my name.
Really?
Yeah, because they kept on asking who is Zane, and as you see,
I
am Zane was my response.
Cute. I dig it. Nat, you do tattoos, eh?
Yeah, I do.
That's very cool.
Do. Yeah, that's my career. But I love it because I like to think of it as something that is, I'm not going to be made obsolete by the robots, because it's just such an intimate career. It's just such an intimate thing, like doing hair, doing nails, that physical touch, that being in somebody else's company, that storytelling aspect to it, that kind of you're kind of like tiptoeing on that line between like pleasure and pain, and kind of talking through these things most of the times with strangers. And so it's lovely. I love it. I love being able to kind of share that space with people. And again, most times 8 out of 10 times. Now during COVID, it's 10 out of 10 times. It's just one-on-one now, and that always builds a space, I think, for like magic to happen, in the sense that, you start to kind of create something from where there was nothing there before.
Yes.
So I love, that's,
And you act as a therapist, because whatever is being created, right? I mean, talk about therapy without a degree, right? We don't that's my profession. I'm a therapist without a degree. Literally all my life, people were like, you should be a therapist. I was like, I'm not going to school for that shit. Fuck it. I'm going to be an energy healer. Then I won't be responsible.
Yes.
Right? But it's the same as a tattoo artist, right? I'm sure every time you go to put ink to skin, they're like, oh my God, this is all the reasons that I need this tattoo, and here's everything that's ever happened to me in my life, and can't you help me? And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no, for sure. And and at the same time, like, I wonder, like, what other outlets are there for these people that you just spilled all this stuff onto me, a regular person that's just creating art for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think it just has to do with, I guess it sounds silly, but in the places that we spend the most money, we kind of have these emotional attachments to.
Well, I say it all the time. Money is energy, right? It's an energy exchange that we all agree upon. Your time, your work is worth X amount of dollars per hour. And then I will receive that energy exchange, and I will use that energy, that money, to go and spend it on things in the world. We've all kind of agreed upon it, but when you start to think about money as energy, you really can bring in as much as you dream and desire like that, because it's just energy. You need more energy, go get on the bike and, fuel yourself for more of it. Oh, Rascal's getting to town over here, guys.
And it's all good.
God.
It's all good.
But no, it's absolutely right,
competition.
because you definitely need energy. Like for example, I do a lot of photography, so there's certain clients that I have that you can tell who gets like the sauce from, and it's really from the energy that they bring to the table. Like, y'all know Heather, I work with Heather. So the moment I work with Heather, you see how her energy is like sky high. So my energy is like generated like a catalyst, and the more ideas and juices flow, and then that's when that happens. But it's only when energy is applied that you'll produce more energy. But if people are just kind of like, then it kind of drains your energy as well.
Do you find you attract bigger clients knowing that she's on board?
Absolutely. Sure. Like the moment I feel like she's like in the room or like in a joint project, I automatically feel like it goes up.
Cool. Yeah.
Now, okay, so Jana, what would you say? Why is it different? Like, from your opinion, why would you say it's different? Like when you're doing virtual stuff like this versus in person? Like, what makes that difference between like, okay, let's us four doing this podcast here virtually versus doing it all in person with that energy?
I think from my business perspective, there is something that is missing in the ability. There's something huge in the missing of hugging. I am such a hugger. I'm a hugger literally 2 of my friends told me that I'm a hug rapist because I hug without consent. I'm like, I don't care if you're not a hugger, I'm going to hug you. Hugging it's so important. And that sharing of energy really matters. But also there's something, palpable about being able to, I'll say it straight up. This whole 6 feet that we're supposed to stay back from one another, that's how far your heart chakra energy field goes. So if you want to feel somebody else's heart chakra and how they really are feeling in their energy body and how their mood really is, that will give you, like, you need to be within 6 feet of that person. So, when we talk about things being scripted, that's a strange distance to have selected so arbitrarily. Now,
I've heard that as well too about that distance from a podcast I listen to. So shout out to the Model Health Show from Sean Stevenson. He's explained about that as well too. Now, where do you know like the scientifics to it? Like, where has it said it's been either proven, or where did people come up with that number?
Okay, so metaphysics is a real study. And you can study metaphysics that will give you all kinds of understandings about your aura, so your auric body, your magnetic energy, your chakras. You can study about your etheric energy. There are all these different energetic bodies that our physical body is connected to, or rather that our physical body is. And then we tend to think of our body as just this thing, right? But you can be in the room with other people, things are coming into your aura, right? And they're affecting you. So when you're, for example, like, let's say you're at Target and you see from across the room, there are 2 people fighting, it brings your mood down, right? Zane is tripping. What is going on?
Well, his quality got better, and then he started tripping. I'm like, oh my!
It was like turning in circles. It's not that intense, is it? I guess it kind of is that intense. We're literally talking about metaphysics and bodies outside of your body. I guess it can't get okay.
And then Nat is out of this world.
Yes.
Travel to space.
Keep going. Keep talking. Maybe I'll go to Mars. Keep going, girl. Don't stop.
Stuff just happens.
I love it. So, there is a study of metaphysics that you can look into, and esoterics that will help you to understand all of these things are real. They're not fictitious. In fact, one of the things when we talk about, creating your reality, in the summertime, the CIA released documents saying, yeah, by the way, this is all make-believe. We totally made it all up. the reality that you are agreeing upon with everybody around you is fake. The third dimension is something that we as humans, we all sort of plug into the same level, and so we agree upon it. But things are changing. We're moving into a fifth dimension consciousness, and that's why we can manifest things so quickly now, right? That's why you like think a thought, and then boom, the ad is on there's an ad for it on Instagram or Facebook, right? That's because that face exactly, Zane.
There's so many things.
But if you're using it to your benefit instead of to your detriment, imagine what you can manifest, right?
This is true.
It's how you
when you think about making ideas of like that make money or whatever it may happen, then all of a sudden you bump into opportunities that link you to that.
Bingo. Exactly. So it's all the same.
What are some examples of that you've done recently? Me
personally?
Yeah.
That I've manifested?
Yeah.
The man of my dreams.
Fire.
I manifested the man of my dreams. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I prayed for him, and in so many times, in so many ways, and he literally, not even joking, showed up at my front door. And I was like, oh shit.
Wow, what a matrix scenario, right? Let me just think really hard on the $1 billion.
For all my life, all my dating life, I was like, people would always say to me, like, the man of your dreams is not just going to show up at your door. And in my head, I was like, fucking yeah, he is. And here he is, living here.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm blessed, right? I'm psychic. So my premonitions are very intense. My ability to feel into other people's energies and other people's truths and then pull for them what is to be is pretty accurate. You can call Simona up on that one. She'll give you a confirmation.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's a real blessing that helps me to really manifest things in real time. So when I need something, if I need to, I don't know, if I'm like, I really want to buy this thing, I need $1,000, a client lands in my lap, pays me $1,200, and I'm like, perfect, no problem. So I'm pretty blessed that way. And I speak that into existence often, my gratitude.
Now, when you were first like practicing it, did you mess up at all? Did you ever do it wrong? Or like
ain't no such thing.
No.
But give me your examples.
Because with me, I feel like when I first started doing it, I wasn't as precise or direct with it. So I would say, like, okay, like you said, I want to bring that woman into my life. But I would bring her into my life, but not the way I wanted. So I wasn't being as precise.
Sure. So two things. One, yes, when you're trying to manifest something, get real specific. Who is she? How do you feel around her? That's a big one. What are you feeling in her presence? And allow yourself to feel those feelings before she even shows up, right? But then also, not necessarily what does she look like, but what does the engagement look like? How does that, like the conversation, on what level is she meeting you? Blah, 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 all those types of things. But also, when you manifest incorrectly, which you cannot do, you're manifesting what you need in the moment from where you are to get you to where you need to be, right? So before he walked through the door, there were enough dudes who showed up that I was like, you're close, but you are not it. Or like, maybe you're really, really far and you're not it. And I have something to learn from you. And so when you, like, as soon as you sort of sell yourself wrong, that you've done it wrong, then you're not absorbing the information, the lesson, right? So if you instead be like, okay, that person came into my life, they didn't come into my life the way that I wanted them to, but what did they bring me? Then there is no wrong manifestation. You manifested what you need when you needed it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It does make sense.
Now, Nat and Zane, do y'all believe in this at all? Like, what's y'all takes on it? What's your thoughts? Like, what do you think, Nat?
You're funny. Hold on. I'm sorry.
It's like she felt me looking at her, but I was looking at her, but it's like
Were
she
you
knew.
manifesting her to talk?
I did.
You always
she
do,
knew
though.
it.
Get called
You know
out.
what? In real life, this is what he does to me, Jana. Pretend this is a mic.
Amazing. Well, he knows you got important shit to say.
Yeah,
man.
she always does. She always
Yeah.
does.
She does.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, when it comes to this idea of manifesting things, I think not my only question, because I have a lot of questions. I think questions lead to other questions, not necessarily more answers.
Yes. Good questions do. Yeah.
So I'm always particular on trying to understand why. And so I do think that there are some particular limitations, right, of this, and the reason I say that is because, I always wonder how many people would we need to manifest wars to stop, right? How much power in reality is needed for these real tangible things that affect people's lives on a day-to-day basis to stop, because I know that I can't be the only one that want these things, right? And there's people all around the world that want the same thing, and so to that extent, I wonder, and I can see these ideas working in respects for motivators to writing that book, getting it done, and making your first million, right? And that being like a real thing, because where you put your energy truly is where it goes.
Yes.
And where all that energy, like all that time, all that pain, all that sacrifice that you're taking and actually physically putting into something, that's magic for me.
Yes.
Like that's it right there. The thing where we're taking this education and all this time and effort and physically turning it into something that can make us a living. And that's where I see like the this being something that does work for a lot of people, as being a motivator.
I kind of have an answer.
Yeah, please.
Maybe.
I love it.
So here's the thing, right? On an individual basis, if we're talking about war, war starts at home.
Right.
So, like, forget looking at your entire country, because your entire country is a shit show.
Right.
It sure is.
But like, even in individual dynamics, right? If you have nobody in your life that you have beef with, if you are only being love and light to all the people in your periphery, to everybody that you see on the street, whether they are disgusting white supremacists or they are, just the average human being or whatever it is, if you are able, until we are all able to be love towards strangers for no reason, we cannot manifest peace, because it's so hard to access even within ourselves. We are built as a species, fight, flight, freeze.
Right.
As soon as somebody else's energy starts to conflict with yours, your instinct is fight, flight, freeze. Until we can eradicate fight, war, peace, it's a huge concept to manifest. There are literally thousands of children that meditate in Tibet for peace on earth. But those thousands, even if they're millions, can't negate the billions that are constantly manifesting wars, even within themselves, about who they are within themselves. We don't have inner peace. We don't have peace within.
That's a journey. No,
right?
yeah, that's something that takes time.
And so you're talking about how do we manifest peace in the world? It's an inside job.
Oh yeah, that's the oldest question.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and I agree with you in the respect of, yes, it being an inside job, because that's something that, on an everyday basis is going to be something that people are fighting for and trying to unlearn. And I think it's really it's just a learning process, that's continuous.
Yeah.
And it's funny how they mentioned that in order for you to have peace, you need to have war. and there's no war without peace. But what they fail to mention is that war would technically start inside of you instead of attacking others.
That's right.
I feel like there's a fine print that's missing.
Yes.
That
Yes.
would solve a lot of things.
It would.
You know, the toughest thing is actually forgiving other people for what they've done in general.
Mm-hmm.
Until that, like, there's the peace part, but and then the next step is that forgiveness aspect. Until then, that's where it becomes a very long process, because it's very tough, especially when they do crazy stuff and you're just like, I'm supposed to forgive you. Granted, I could maybe think about letting it go for now, but to forgive you, I don't know about that.
Well, you know, I got a Bible for you guys. It's called the 4 Agreements. If you haven't read the 4 Agreements yet, like I it's my Bible for sure.
Right.
And one of the
there's the stranger.
Look at that sweet girl.
Look at
So
her.
beautiful.
Rascal may or may not come up and make a cameo, but for now. So, you know, where was I?
4 agreements.
The 4 agreements.
The 4 agreements.
So one of the 4 agreements is don't take things personally. And it is, to me, the hardest one.
Right.
Because I take everything personally. I'm like, literally, I was like, that person put a mask. This is like a literal conversation. I was like, that person put a mask on in front of me. Like, they must think that I have some horrible disease. And that's why they put a mask on in front of me. And then I was like, or maybe I'm just taking it personally and I shouldn't. But, you know, we spend so much time projecting our shit onto other people and then taking it all personally. And imagine it speaks in the book about, you know, somebody could punch you in the face and you need to just let them be like, that's not about me, that's all on you.
Yeah,
right. It's like, I don't know about that. They're catching the hands real quick. I don't know. I mean, unless I was doing something that I wasn't supposed to and they needed to do that, that's one thing. But like, just out of nowhere, I was like, nah, man, I'm gonna have to like give you an equal
eye for an eye.
Face. An eye for an eye, which leaves the whole world blind, and that's where we're at. It's like, oh well, you this, and I'm gonna make you pay, and that's the only way that we can level the playing field.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's super important, and I think that's been something that's always kind of helped me through life, is not taking things so personal at times. And I think for me, it comes from, we've talked about in this podcast a lot about being judgmental. And I don't like when people are judgmental towards others.
Right.
So I think that's maybe why it's helped me through that, because, you know, I really dislike when people are judgmental, because I'm one that, you know, I live by that saying, you know, I try not to judge someone because they sin differently than you do. And obviously there's levels to shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's levels to that, you know.
Of course.
But
of course,
on the grand scheme of things, that's just how I try to live by. You know, obviously there's the extremely highs, right? That obviously there's just those type of things that we don't forgive, or, you know, we obviously can judge them. But I'm talking on the grand scheme of things. I'm typically like, you know what? Don't judge someone because they sin differently than you do. And I think when you really think like that, it helps. And when people do things like that, like you said, oh, the punch in the face, it's like sometimes we just judge them on that versus trying to understand them.
Well, that's such a big piece, right? We spend so much time, as I interrupt you, we spend so much time listening to reply, not listening to listen, right?
Exactly. Right. And I think me being very like also introverted a lot of my life, I think maybe it's been a little bit easier because I've always been more of a listener. So after just listening to so much and hearing so many other people, it's like, how can you judge? You know? There's different aspects of it. So Natalie, you said you had a bunch of other questions as well before. What other questions regarding it do you have?
Regarding what?
Just like
what we were talking about earlier?
Yeah. Because you said like we have one question that leads to another question that leads, like, what are some of those other questions? Because many other people in the world right now probably have the same questions as you.
Of course. I mean, I'm curious to know what you feel like has been like one of your biggest lessons of doing this kind of work. More like your personal lessons that you feel like become, I guess, like the tools or the things that you uh, uh, ultimately use to help your clients.
There's a couple answers to that. One of them is stay in your own lane.
Right.
I really, really like, just worry about your damn self. There's so much out there that you can concern yourself with, how this person is reacting, how that person is feeling, what this person's doing, what that one's not. Fuck it. It's not your problem. Stay in your own lane. That was a big, big, big lesson for me. Another big, huge one for me has been the sort of melding of spirituality and mental health and how intertwined the two are. My background, it comes from a space of having my own mental health issues quite intensely, and my biological father having very, very intense mental health issues since I was very, very small. So I got a real understanding that the more profoundly I commit to my practice of spirituality, the more I am able to manage my own stability. And as the year of 2020 dragged on and everybody was having such a hard time, I remember in March, people were like, you know, you're locked in your house. At the time I lived alone. Are you okay? Are you okay? And I kept turning to everybody and being like, I am built for this. I'm good because I'm good with me. I know me. I love me. I'm really like, me and me are very chill. You know, I have long conversations with myself often and loudly, like I'm fine. And, you know, that is because I've spent a lot of time allowing myself to feel my feelings exactly as they are, not judge myself, and to concern myself with me. And, you know, I've peeled back many layers of myself. I've allowed myself to acknowledge, you know, I used to be very angry. I used to be quick to judge. I used to be short-tempered. I used to be more anxious. I used to put on a persona and so that people would like me in a certain way. And I had to kind of acknowledge all those things and really look at them and observe and then be loving enough to myself that I could change it. And all that took a lot of time. It doesn't happen overnight. That's like a big piece. You can't be like, you know, I went to therapy one time, or I had one healing, or I, you know, took a left instead of a right. Am I where I'm supposed to be? Like, no. I often tell my clients, like, the healing is not done until you're dead. So you have a while, keep going.
Right.
Theoretically.
Right.
Yeah, I might have some extra time after that.
Listen, we never know. This might be a rest stop.
Well, the way that I talk about the spirit realm is that it's sort of like, I've been using this analogy constantly. The way that spirit interjects with our lives is kind of like, if, you know, when you think about an ant crawling on the ground, that ant has so many things to do, not like you and I, right? Not dissimilar from you and I. So many things to do, right? You got to get your podcast, you got to do this, you got to go to work, you got to feed your kids, you got to this, that, the other, make sure the dog's walked, yada, 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 check in on your friends, make sure your parents are good, blah, blah, blah. An ant has pretty much exactly those types of things going on in its own life. So when you think about that ant crawling on the ground, it's doing its own thing. Now, if it crawls over your hand, it may notice a difference in terrain, but it doesn't think to itself anything different. Now, if you took that ant on your hand and you picked it up and you moved it across the room to some other room and you put it down, something noticeably would have changed, but under no circumstance would that ant be like, oh, Zane just probably picked me up on his hand and moved me over someplace, right? It doesn't have the concept for that. So that's kind of how spirit interjects with us. It's in a way that we can't know, we can't see, we can't understand, but we know that something palpably is different in our lives. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. So that's kind of, it's just like they're a bigger version of us. It's like you sneezed all the way out.
That was probably one of the coolest analogies, because I'm like the analogy king over here. and that was like flawless.
Wonderful.
Because my analogies are so out there. I don't even know how Nat and Jill keep up, to be honest.
I love
a
it.
good
care about you.
analogy. I love an analogy.
Yeah.
I felt your analogy like vibe, and I was like, I'm gonna zing it instead of anybody else, because Zane's the one who's gonna get this the most.
He's gonna appreciate
I
it.
did. I saw it in my head.
No, I love that sort of stuff too. Like I get it now.
Yeah.
It's that easy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because I always use like the Matrix analogy. Like one day you just like what if you die, you wake up, but you wake up in like a tube. But I actually took the Matrix a little further and I said, what if this was just like a game that like, all right, so check this out. Because I think I said it on the podcast way before. But I said, what if we're all immortal? And then in this simulated reality, we die.
That's exactly how it is. That's exactly how the spirit realm is. Your spirit lives on forever and ever and ever and ever. You only incarnate as a soul physically one time. So these past life things, basically what it is your energy, clicked into somebody else's life for a minute to guide them on their path. And you relate to their path as a past life, but you only incarnate once.
Right.
For that, you go into energy, you go into spirit. We can't exactly speak to what it is, but we know that it is light. You go into the light, right? And so you literally become bigger than us. This is like I said it a second ago. It's like you sneezed yourself all the way out. You can't catch the sneeze, right? It's just big. So that's exactly how it goes. Is yes, this simulation is a part-time. You get stuck in your meat suit and you go through this little vehicle for your life sentence. You're stuck, and then eventually Mars.
Exactly.
Did you see the movie Soul?
Yes.
What did you think about it?
Who hasn't?
I think it was a little bit metaphysically inaccurate, but it was very cute.
Dope. Now, when did you start studying this? When did you see this was a thing? Like what? How old were you?
When I was 21, I had a suicide attempt, and coming out of that, I went into therapy and treatment for an eating disorder. And in that time, I found a number of different. Oh, we lost Nat for a sec. But in that time, trigger warning, those of you who are listening, in that time, I found a number of different healers who guided me along the path. So people who are doing tapping, that I started to tap into oracle cards, metaphysics. I received a healing called the life activation, which Simona can kind of get into with you guys as well, where basically I sort of realign all your energy bodies and then fill you full of light using a crystal wand. It makes no sense, but nothing spiritual makes any sense when you think about it, right? So
I could say the same thing about like a cell phone, but people like, you just make a call and the other person gets it.
Well, ironically, a cell phone uses the exact same crystal that I use in the life activation. All of our devices use crystals. Our phones, our televisions, our radios, our computers, they all have teeny tiny little chips of quartz.
Right. But people would be like, no, that's crazy. That's magic or blah, blah. I'm like,
magic is real.
Dude, your cell phone can link you to another person that's not there. And this doesn't exist.
Right?
It's not real. Wow. All right.
Exactly.
Yeah, just threw like the thinner. Hey!
Look at that.
What's up, little guy?
So cute.
Yeah, she's a sweet girl. Hey, sweet girl. Yeah.
Does she make does she bark or is she like very quiet?
Oh no, my friend, she is quite she's got as much to say as her mama does.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Did we lose Nat for good?
We're gonna find out. Maybe her tablet died. Maybe it died.
That's a thing. That's a thing.
I feel like that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Now, did you like believe it right away or like?
No.
When did you start having actual beliefs?
Okay, I'll say this. As a child, I could talk to crystals. My grandfather had a huge collection of crystals, and I could always hear them. They would always sing to me, tell me stories, tell me where to put them, what to do, how to guide myself with them. So that was something that I could always tap into. After my attempt, I was able to hear spirit, because I had crossed and come back. So that really created a different kind of dynamic for me with the other side. So it was easier for me to believe, quote unquote, in what was going on in the healings and the sessions that I was doing, because I always had it in me that I knew I was different. I knew that I was special. I knew that I could kind of command the energy and control a room very easily. So in that sense, like, yes, I believed, but there were a lot of moments that I was like, this is fucking bullshit. Like, there's just no way that this shit's real. And the first time I saw The Matrix, when I was a teenager, I remember being like, if this is real, imagine what life is. And now I tell people, like, The Matrix is a blueprint. It's basically a documentary.
Right. Learn
how to live your life. If you see the black cat twice, you've done something wrong and something is going to go haywire. Maybe Mercury is in retrograde. So, there's like a lot that is hard to believe. But I've always been somebody who's like not fully grounded in reality. Anyways, I'm a Pisces. So it is my nature to be. Are you a Pisces?
No, I'm the one that people don't like, but it's cool.
You're Scorpio.
I like Pisces.
It's cool.
No, it looks like it, but I'm not.
Well,
everybody always think that.
So I will say that it would be curious to look at your birth chart, because.
But guess what? That's my moon. No, that's not my moon. I have no Scorpio in me at all, actually. So I have a Virgo moon and I think a regular Gemini sun, but I'm a Gemini.
So your sun sign is the sign that you would identify with when people say, what's your sign? That's your sun sign.
He's a Gemini.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, I have a Gemini moon. I see you. We're good. We're great people.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, can continue. No, continue.
Okay, but a
Did you say you're a Pisces?
Really yeah. I am a Pisces. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Very ethereal, and I'm always out to lunch. My head is always in the clouds. Always. I'm always just dreaming of some other ridiculous fantasy that makes no goddamn sense. And so it allows me to conceive of the impossible with a little bit of a different perspective. So when I saw The Matrix, I was like, what if this is real? And at the time, nobody thought that. They were just like, that was a cool movie, right?
Right.
But 14 or 15-year-old me was like, this is the truth. So yeah.
Interesting. What's your take on Capricorns?
Oh, that's my rising sign. So I love a Cap. We're very, very, very good. We're solids. It's funny, this is why you got to understand your whole birth chart, because we all have all of the signs in our charts, in the different houses. We have all of the signs. We may not have planets in every sign, but it's important to know your birth chart, because that gets you to understand, who am I? Not who are Capricorns, right? Not who are Pisces sun, Gemini moons. Who am I? Right? Only you took a breath at the space that you existed in the world at the moment that you were born. Only you.
Right.
Only you. So that makes you unique. And then even if there's somebody in the hospital, another baby that was born, let's say maybe within 3 minutes of you, so they've got the same rising, the same moon, the same sun, the same planetary aspects, they've also got an entirely different upbringing, a different life that will manifest. But if you go backwards and look at their big dates of things and your big dates of things, they will line up. This is why twins is such a cool anomaly, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're obviously they're different, but they're so close to each other, but they are a few minutes apart.
Yes. Yeah, and that can make all the world of the difference because our planet's axis changes, and therefore your rising sign might be different, or even the planets might have moved
Right.
that from 1 minute to the next.
Can you explain to our audience members who doesn't know what the rising is? What is the rising?
So your rising sign is basically from the place on the planet that you were born, where the dawn happens. So as our planet rotates, it rotates sort of, like a top, but it also rotates around the sun. So as it's moving, but then also our universe is constantly moving too. So the way that the Earth doesn't rotate like it does on a globe in a circle like that.
Right.
The Earth rotates kind of twisty-turny, and so how where the sun is rising, where you are, is the dawn point. It is the AC. It's the ascendant point of where the sun is going to rise, which is why when you know your rising sign, you know how you literally dawn on other people. Most people, when they're looking at their sign, at their horoscopes, you ought to be looking at your sun sign and your rising sign so that you have a deeper understanding of who am I and how am I dawning on other people? How do other people see me? How do other people understand me? And how am I understanding myself from the outsider's perspective? Because you only are who you are in other relationships, right?
Right.
You identify yourself as a singular aspect. That's why COVID has been such fuckery, because I'm so happy to see that.
So like right now, we got Natalie back.
Yay.
What'd you say, Nat?
No, I was like wondering how to get everybody. Like, I'm like, oh, this is perfect. Now I can.
Yeah. Because it's like, because I know on the phone it just shows one at a time of whoever's talking. Yeah.
I love it. It's perfect.
Yeah.
I can see all your wonderful faces.
Yeah.
So we're talking astrology. So now I just looked mine up. So I'm a Cancer ascendant. So what does that exactly mean?
So it means that even though you're a Capricorn sun, right? So even though you are a get her done kind of guy, most people see you as a sensitive soul.
I was gonna say, I just wanted you to say it, Jana.
You
too much.
You tell me what's up.
Yeah, Zane, what do you got to say over there?
No, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. And I come in just kicking Legos.
Just don't step on them. You'll be fine. Kick them, but don't step on them.
So you said that's how I'm portrayed.
No, that's how you're portrayed. That's how other people, so others will automatically see you as soft on the inside, a little bit maybe willing to walk in funny directions that no other species does on this planet, just to, when you think about a crabs, they avoid the shore, like they stay on the shore, they avoid the water, but they don't want to go too inland, but they don't want to go in the water, but they don't want to go inland. They got to get the food. The water's going to come and get them. There's a lot that crabs need to do to survive. And no wonder they're so sensitive, because, right? Like they're just trying not to die all the time, which I guess we are too.
Same.
So you're saying, okay, so that's how I'm portrayed. So portrayed as a Cancer or soft on the inside, right? Mm-hmm. But then you're saying, but the sun side was who you truly are.
That's your purpose on this planet. That is your purpose. That ultimately, when somebody needs to get things done, like there is no question here, like we'll give this example of this moment. You're like, we got to record a podcast. I'm going to get everybody on Zoom. I'm going to coordinate. I'm going to record. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. It's going to get done. No problem. And everyone's like, yeah, cool. Joe's got it. No big deal. Right? Because you're Capricorning. You're just getting it done. You're just scaling the mountain like a goat. Like you're just jumping from one teeny tiny little ledge to another little ledge and doing it, making it look easy. Right?
But how it's portrayed is different.
And listen, there are no bad signs. There are no bad anything, right? This comes back to Nat's question about war. There is nothing bad about how anybody is behaving. Everybody, even that orange face guy that you guys were calling president, he's just a wounded child.
Right.
He's just a dude whose daddy didn't love him, you know? And if we look at him differently, listen, is he a piece of shit? Yeah, he's a piece of shit. But like, no wonder he's a piece of shit. He didn't get any love, right?
Right.
And maybe if he learned how to embrace his chart, I mean, his chart said that he should have been something way bigger than he ever was. And he really got big in his own way, right? So,
right. Infamous.
You might say that.
They weren't famous, you were infamous. So.
Yeah, fame was not enough, I guess.
Right.
So, you know, listen, there are no bad anything. There are no bad signs. There are no bad aspects. There are deficits. There are places where it's harder. There are certainly signs that get more slack. Scorpios, for sure, they get a bad rap. Geminis, sorry.
I think they get the worst. They get the worst.
Listen, Geminis are, first of all, like, I'm not just saying this because my moon is there, but like, it's beautiful to have so many opinions, to be able to see things from so many different sides, you know? The Gemini, 2 sets of twins, above and below, like you literally can see the world from every aspect.
Right.
You know? You can think thoughts that are totally out there because you're not limited to one personality. You get to have multiple.
Right.
Now, what's your take on people who don't believe? Because I know, Nat, is this true that you said you weren't ever too much of a believer of it? Or what's your thoughts on astrology?
On zodiacs.
On astrology, that I wasn't particularly convinced that it could describe me, and I say that only because I feel like we have so many choices, so many paths that we can go on to, so many ways that we can change, so many ways that you can deviate from this particular path, that it's like in reality there's an infinite number of possibilities of things that can happen, you know.
Yes, but there's only one you. So this is why it's interesting. Let me first ask the question, what's your sign? What's your sun sign?
Well, I was born in April, so I guess by traditional means I'm an Aries.
April what?
April 8th.
Okay, so you're an Aries. In Western, you are an Aries. But you know, if we get into Vedic,
if I bake into, you know, Chinese, and I'm gonna say I was born in the year of the pig, and you know,
right.
But
what we in Western astrology, what we talk about is, first of all, like, of course, as an Aries, you don't believe in it. You guys are stubborn as fuck. So
that's what somebody else said to me, and I was like, isn't it convenient that I'm stubborn and I'm the one that's like this? And I'm like, no, I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Well,
it so happens that I'm malleable, but I'm also stubborn.
Well, this is why understanding your birth chart is so important, because yes, we do have free will, and yes, we do have the ability to adapt and shift and change. However, when you look at all the different placements, and like, you know, it would be cool to do your birth chart, like, you know, one day, just to read your chart for you, to get you to understand.
Try to debunk it.
Yeah, not even
for that. Not even for that. Yeah,
just to get you to understand that, like, look, when we talk about the different planets, they all represent different facets of ourselves, right? So Mercury is how we communicate and how we think. Venus is how we love. Mars is how we take action. Saturn is how we expand. Contract rather. Jupiter is how we expand. Uranus is how we put thought into action. Neptune is how we dream. Pluto is our soul's purpose. ABC. Okay, this is very, very surface level. When we talk about each of those planets and where they are placed in your specific chart, that's where things get intense. The sun is this overarching piece that is part of your purpose on this planet, but your moon is your emotions, right? And that might identify deeper. We were talking, I don't know if you heard about the rising, but we were talking about your rising sign. Like, that is even more potent when we get into this. Like, have you ever had your full birth chart read before?
Once by a client a couple years ago. He's a wonderful person. He was a really nice guy, but he had this app, and I was like, I was like, go ahead, do your thing. But I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. If I was gonna do it in any way, it would be like face to face or something like very personal like that, as opposed to somebody whipping out an app and being like,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah. I mean, I was just about to be like, he had a what? Like,
Exactly. That's what I said. I said, bro.
Yeah. It's called. I think one of them is the Pattern app. That's a popular one.
Yeah, I love the Pattern. Also, I love Sanctuary. That's a great like app for because it gives you reading on both your sun and your rising, which I always love. Also, shout out to Chani Nicholas if you guys don't have her book.
Wait, hold on. Sanctuary on YouTube right now. I Am Zane Studio Sanctuary short film, directed by Ankit, written by Ankit. Sanctuary.
You gotta drop the plug.
Yeah. And then, also like happily will plug Chani Nicholas. She's incredible. She's got a book called You Were Born for This, and it really breaks all this shit down in such beautiful, basic, simple ways. And then there are lots of courses that also you can take. I love Astro Hub. They have some really great classes. One of my teachers, Rick Levine, he's amazing. He's been writing horoscopes since the 70s. This guy is so real. He's like an original hippie. He owns only shirts that have the solar system all over it. Like he's a child, like, puffy painted on. He's fucking awesome. He's the coolest dude. So anyway, yeah, an app does not do it justice. A reading is different than somebody being like, you're this, because
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. It's more interpersonal,
Right.
Yeah. Nat, I'd be happy to read your chart on Zoom as personal as we can get with our book.
Yeah, that's okay with me.
Cool.
So we are reaching out our time here, but
10 minutes.
Yeah, 10 minutes. Does that show you guys on your end too? The timer?
It
is?
does. It does.
It does.
Yes. Really?
It feels like I'm playing a video game right now.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
But
that's fine.
Real quick before we get ready to wrap up, like what would you tell someone that says, oh, well, I was actually having a conversation with someone recently. We're like, oh, well, you could read any of those to anybody and they feel like they're going to relate to it. What do you tell that person?
Two things. Yes, of course, we're all having a collective experience. Duh. Right? If I read you anything in 2020 that was like, you're having a bad day, you'd be like, fucking we all are. But also, like, there are layers beyond that. And if you're willing to, I especially with divination cards, it always kills me. Like you'll pull the same card over and over and over and over and over again until you get the message. So yeah, like it does apply to everybody, but it will apply specifically to you in your life. It's up to you to do the work, right? It's up to you to look at that and be like, all right, well, how does that relate to me? And what do I need to shift, right? Because yes, like we're all having different individual experiences, and in order for us to rise into what we call 12th dimension consciousness, where we're all understanding that we are all one species, we gotta stop being like, that's not about me, that's about you. Like maybe it is about you, friendo.
Right.
Does that kind of answer the question?
Yeah, definitely. The site I use a lot is Cafe Astrology. You ever heard of that one?
Yeah.
It's been around for so long, and it's funny because I thought it was going to be taken down years ago because it was always like a very ancient looking site, and I thought I was going to get lost in the sauce somewhere, and the owner was going to forget to pay their domain. But it's still around, and I always use.
Are you trying to buy that domain right now? You're just like low key, like I'm ready for it.
He's ready.
Nah, I just get nervous. I get nervous because it's so fire. Like I put in, it shows me the birth and like, because a lot of times when I have conversations with people about that have that, I say, okay, yes, on a basic level, I agree. Like when you read the daily horoscope and stuff like that. But when I've looked at my birth chart and like the birth analysis and it breaks it down, like. It's so to a T me that it's scary.
Yes.
That's just to me. Like, I feel like it really breaks me down to like, nah, like that's to another level. So.
Yes. In case it does break down, astro.com is also really lovely.
Okay, Astro. Yeah, just in case my website goes to crumbles.
Just in case somebody forgets to pay their bill. I got your back. Don't worry.
Yes, yes.
The thing that I love about astrology is like, I can read somebody's birth chart and then somebody will read that exact same birth chart 5 minutes later, completely different. Yeah. Because I have my own biases, my own experiences, my own intuitions, my own messages from spirit, my own, understanding of what the planets mean and what the houses mean, what the aspects mean, what the, chart means itself, right? So you're never going to get one concrete answer. There is no one answer. Everything is a spectrum. Everything. Light is a spectrum. Color is a spectrum. Understanding is a spectrum, right? Mental health is a spectrum. It's all a spectrum. So you can't try to fall one spot as the truth. There is no truth.
I think Jana should read all of our charts. I think we need a therapy.
Another podcast session.
We can make a whole episode on that.
I think a therapy without a degree birth chart session.
All right,
No, they're gonna have to pay for that. They're gonna, because for them to hear my birth chart. You know what I'm saying? That's
the fee is $150. We got 20% off for Janapalooza month.
Hey,
that's February.
Got the bag.
Yeah, that's right. But y'all are fun. I'd be happy to do quickies with you. But the only deal is that I would have to do it one-on-one individually and let you guys decide whether or not you're comfortable sharing it with the public, because sometimes they get deep. Sometimes they. That's
what I'm saying. Yeah, that's why I said, I was like, nah, they can't be. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna know the sauce. Like y'all can know the sauce, not the listeners.
Pieces. edit pieces. This feels comfortable. That feels safe. I can let this part out, and then
mine is just gonna be silent.
Individual.
Yes. So Zane, this is your birth chart.
No,
just silence.
Zane, your guides are so loud already. There is no way that's what's happening even a little bit. I got so much to say. It would be very fascinating. Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll get into
yes, let's all do that off air.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But all right, y'all. So something that we do at the end of the show, is y'all already know. Also, before we get into that, where can people find you? What are your tags? All that stuff. What you got?
So I'm on Clubhouse. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. Jana Stern Healing. I've been sleeping on Twitter, but I guess I have a Twitter. And then my website, janastern.com. You can head over there. You can book directly. Click the Work With Me button, and that you book right on the site there. Consultations are free, so do that.
Sweet.
Yeah. Sounds like a plan, yo.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow you on Clubhouse.
Yeah, let's do some Clubhouse stuff.
Yes, I'm with it.
That'd be awesome.
And what y'all got? What y'all shouting out for this week? What y'all got?
So I'm shouting out this show called Warriors. You can find it on HBO Max. It's a show that Bruce Lee had wrote, and he was going to release it when he was alive, but obviously at the time there was a lot of discrimination, so he didn't get the bag for that. Like, they didn't allow the project to work. So I think his daughter had produced it and got someone to write the story of like this guy who came from China, right? And he becomes like a gang, what you call part of the gang, but he's all doing that to get to his sister. Then he finds out his sister is like, I'm good here, and I'm like, and she's on the opposite side of the gangs of like the other, like there's two opposing gangs, and she's on the opposite side. So, but the action in that show is like brutal, like like really crazy. Cool. Yeah, I recommend it. It's really dope.
Nat, what you got?
Oh man, I don't even know. I think the only thing I guess I could share this week, because I haven't been watching any shows. I've been answering emails, and that's okay because that's money in every email. You know, I just want to give a shout out to rest. Please take y'all rest seriously. This is an ad for rest.
We gotta make a commercial for that.
Yes. Sleep matters.
Sleep matters.
Because that's where the dreams come in.
Yes.
You know? And if you're overworked, you won't get anything done.
My boyfriend teases me because I'm always like, I need an astral sync, a nap. That's what he says.
Jana, real quick, what about yours? We're about to get expired in less than a minute. So what you got?
What am I shouting? I don't know, man. Fuck. I'm going to show my friend Simona because, I love her podcast.
Yes, shout out to Simona.
Happiness happens.
Yes, Happiness Happens podcast. I'm gonna give mine a shout out to Val. She's really been hustling out here working, and she actually motivated me to put this status up on Twitter. I put, no one is gonna help you if you're not trying to help yourself, and I put, I am trying, and I put, what level of effort are you putting in? If you're carved out on the side of the road, you're standing with your thumb out, or you considering that effort, or are you pushing that thing with all your heart? So, all right, people, adios. Put some effort into your fucking business, into your brand, into yourself. We out of here.
Adios.
Peace.
Bye.
Deuces.